You've been searching for scholarships, and maybe you've contacted supervisors but did not get a response. Why, for some, if you see Masters by Research or PhD scholarship, you simply ignore because you would have to submit a research proposal. And maybe you don't even know how to write a research proposal, and you think, well, I don't want Masters by Research, I just want Masters coursework. But it doesn't always have to be that way. I mean, you can actually get it. For some persons, they feel, oh, because I have a 2-1, I am not going to apply to that scholarship. Only those with first class can apply. But some scholarship would even allow you if you have a 2-1. If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Brendo. I am a doctoral student. I got two full fundings for my PhD program and I selected the better one. And I can tell you for a fact, it can be time consuming and sometimes frustrating. But in this video, I want to do something different. If I were the applicant for this scholarship we'll look at, what would I do differently? So I'm going to show you every single thing I know. Every single thing I know. I'm not just going to teach you how to apply to this scholarship. I'm actually going to show you how to succeed in getting the scholarship. And because that is what I want to do, it means this video is going to be lengthy. If you think you're not ready, you can skip this video. You can go watch other scholarship videos. But if you actually want full scholarship, then just sit tight and I will show you every single thing I know. If the challenge is research proposal, I will show you a multi-award winning scholarship proposal. If the problem is contacting a supervisor to get a response, I will show you a blueprint of how to actually contact the supervisor and get a response from them. And just so you know, some of this scholarship, you don't even need to contact the supervisor and you don't even need to apply to the scholarship. It's automatic consideration. So please, just watch this video. All right. Thank you so much. And now let's get started. So here we have the University of Melbourne. There are 4 scholarships. Now, if you know anyone interested in undergraduate scholarship, you can tell them to look at this one. However, this one covers 50% tuition. So anyone looking for partial funding for undergraduate program, then this one is a great scholarship. However, we'll focus on the research training program scholarship, which is for master's and PhD. Okay, so if you click on that, it brings you to this page. Research training program. It is open for automatic consideration, covers your 100% tuition and 135,000 for stipend, up to that amount. There are 350 scholarship and we've talked about it. There are other benefits, including maternity leave and relocation grant and things like that. But we'll talk about the benefit later. The focus of this video is to help you get the scholarship, guide you to get it. Applying to scholarship is time consuming, rigorous. It's sometimes frustrating, but it doesn't always have to be that way if you have someone who has succeeded guide you through the application process. I succeeded in getting 2 full fundings for my PhD program and I selected the best one for myself. And I can guide you through the application process. Currently, I'm guiding a number of applicants to apply for scholarships all over the world. Take for example, I had a one-to-one meeting with Bless from Poland who is looking for a master's scholarship. And after reviewing her profile, I gave her tips to improve her chances. In another one-to-one meeting I had with Lame from Botswana, who is looking for a PhD program, I reviewed his application and his proposal. And after looking at all of these, we discussed extensively and I guided him to also contact a supervisor. Another meeting I've had recently is with Joy from Nigeria, who is looking for a Masters by Research program. I helped her to search for tailored scholarship and also offered her guidance to contact supervisors. Now, these 3 and many others are working on feedback to submit strong applications, and you can be one of them. Yes, you can be one of them. So if you're interested, my calendar is open. You can book a one-to-one session with me, and I'm happy to assist you in the scholarship process. Now, let's jump right back into the video. Now, what to do? For this one, it tells you for how to apply, you need to go through graduate research course. Now, there are 2 ways to apply to scholarship from the University of Melbourne. You could go through the project route, or you could go through by applying to the course or the for the program, the degree itself. So for this one, we'll just go through the graduate research course, and it is open for automatic consideration. If you click on the graduate course, okay, it brings you here, graduate research, select international applicant, how to apply, click on entry requirements, you come to the entry requirement. So for course specific requirements, you have to find the supervisor. Don't be scared. You have to find the supervisor and then but first check the course you're applying for and then find a supervisor, and then you write a research proposal. Okay. Now let's talk about that. So let's find a course. If you click on find a course, it brings you to this page. There are select graduate research. If you select on graduate research, what you have here, anything you select from here is open to automatic scholarship consideration. Now, you can select anything here that is relevant to you, but it's something relevant for everybody. And I'll tell you why. Say, for example, PhD, Doctor of Science. You can select Doctor of Science if you're in the sciences. Select Doctor of Science and look for a research project because it says independent research project. So just look for your own topic. Unlike the others, Master of Medicine, Master of Surgery. For art, we also have the same thing. For example, I think I found that here. So here you have Master of Thesis, something like that. Just bear with me. Yeah, Master of Art, thesis only. So if you're in the arts, not sciences, if you're in the arts and you have an independent research project, then just go ahead. It says a current hypothesis on your chosen issue. So if you have that for science or art, you can go ahead. That is if your program is not directly mentioned, because we have economics, we have marketing, we have fine art and music and all of that, both for masters and PhD. So you only go to this and the other one if you do not find your own program. But if you see marketing, you can still open it. Like for example, economics, you could find marketing or business management under economics. Just check, please just check. Now let's look at some examples, okay? Say, for example, the doctoral program in finance. I found something really interesting in this one. You can check the overview and entry requirement, but I think most people will meet the requirement. Just check, please. Now, how to apply? So you apply online, you attach your supporting document. Um, you also have to find, I think there are some scholarships that I have found that do not require you to submit a research proposal to a supervisor. That is, you don't have to contact a supervisor. And I think this might be one of them. So to apply to this one, you apply online, you attach your supporting documents, which include academic transcripts and other things. You can read up on it. Then referee reports, you need to submit referee reports. And it doesn't mention contacting a supervisor. So this is one program that does not require a supervisor. So check each one of them, please. Check each one of them, read the details, confirm the information, and then go ahead and apply. If you meet the entry requirement, then go ahead and apply. So guys, this is one program that does not require you to contact a supervisor. Let's look at another one. Now, this is a doctoral program in marketing. Now, it is made up of 2 years of work. Now, there's something interesting about this one is you would also be given, besides getting the scholarship, you'll be given travel funding of 15,000 Australian dollars. Travel funding, which means you can travel from one part to another part, which is great. Now, let's look at how to apply to see if we need to contact a supervisor. Maybe yes. For this one, you have to apply, attach supporting documents and your personal statement, CV, and the rest. And it appears for this one, you still need a supervisor. No, you don't even need to contact a supervisor. You see, it is great. So there's some PhD program that does not even require you to submit, that does not even require you to contact a supervisor, which I think is really good. It is really, really good. So if you think this is your field, please go ahead and submit. Let's see this all in one. Okay. Now, this is the Master of Arts thesis only. This is just another example for this one. And remember, for all of them, if you've met the criteria, you could just select apply at the bottom. There's always apply at the bottom. But let's talk about this one. For international applicant, 31st of August, to be considered, you need to submit everything. And I think you also need to get a supervisor for this one. So find a supervisor. I will teach you how to do that. Okay, so for this one, you need a supervisor. So always check. And when contacting a supervisor, what should you include? Take note, what should you include? Your CV, all your higher education transcripts, every single thing, not one, not two, every single transcript for your bachelor's, for your master's, submit everything. Then you submit a 5,000 word writing sample. You submit a 2,000 word, 2,500 word research proposal. Now, writing sample could be like, say, for your thesis. Look at this, for your honors or master's thesis or recent essay. So you can submit your research work to them and then a research proposal. So imagine contacting a supervisor without all of this. You would not get any response from the supervisor. And then you can go ahead and submit the application. I think at the end, so just come to this page and make sure to read on this page. And then if you meet everything, you can then apply. Now, the other part is how do you contact the supervisor? Like, how do you actually contact one and get a response? So if you click on Find an Expert, there are many pages to that, but I can also leave a link in the description. Select on Find an Expert, it brings you here. Now you want to click on Research Supervision, Expert for Research Supervision. Just give me a moment. So if you click on Expert on Research Supervision, it brings you here, and then you search, okay? So we could search by name, the search by area or expertise or field. But I would assume you don't know the name of any of the professors or lecturers here. So we just simply type, let me look for something in my own research, which is generative AI. So if you search for generative AI, meanwhile, if you're interested in my own research, I've got my LinkedIn profile here. Brendel A, this is my profile. I talk about ChatGPT and academic writing every Monday and Thursday, so you can join me there. All right, so now let's go back to this. So if I type generative AI, there are 100 researchers. However, available for supervision, we have 63. So take this box. And it means we can reach out to any of this one if their research interests align with us. Now, when you come to this page, before contacting the supervisor, there are three things I want you to do. Three things. Number one, first, find three supervisors or one or two, whatever you want to do, just find the supervisors, okay? Once you do that, go to their scholarly works or look at their current projects. If you look at the scholarly work basically means the articles they've written, the works they've published, and good, you even have this box here that tells you, oh, what their research is about. Now, read up on this person, look at their work. If it's something that aligns with yours, click on scholarly works, look at the recent work, look at their recent work, okay? And this is from a conference presented in 2025. This 2025. So read up on their work and see the recent thing they've done. If it aligns with yours, read up on it. At least read three works of theirs. Read three works. And if it aligns with yours, now you contact the supervisor. And how do you do that? Well, I'm going to show you a sample email. If you're watching, you can pause the video at this point and take a screen grab of this part. I don't know, just, okay, take a screen grab. So subject, prospective master's PhD candidate, but you need to mention what to do. Talk about your name, address. But remember, if you use this word for word, there's no possibility of using it word for word anyways, because the entire second paragraph will change. For example, here you were talking about one of the papers you've read from the supervisor and how it aligns and how you're excited to work with the supervisor on the project, which means you have to alter all of this. You must have read the work and then comment on the work. And here you also want to talk about training you've received, what makes you suitable for that research. So here you're showing genuine interest in the supervisor. If you've not read those three works, how would you know what to do? And I know a lot of people would want to use ChatGPT to generate something and the rest, but if you're using ChatGPT to generate anything, is it okay if I could request you to maybe if you want, you can share it with me, book a one-to-one meeting, share it with me, and let's look at it together before you submit it or before you send it to that supervisor, please. Okay. And then you talk about your suitability for the program. Okay. And here is another paragraph that is crucial, very key. You need to confirm if the supervisor is currently accepting students for the period you want. Find out if the supervisor is currently accepting people. And if he is, if your background and interest aligns. Four paragraphs straight to the point, and this is the one many people are using to get feedback from supervisors. And you can also use this. So please do that. Let's go back to the page. Okay. So remember what we've just said, and that is how you contact the supervisor. Now, if your challenge, however, is research proposal, now here is a step. I have a video on how to contact a research supervisor, how to write a research proposal. Please check the video on my channel. I would leave a link in the, okay, you can click any, whether here or here, you'll find it now on how to write a research proposal. But let's talk about something else. What if I want to show you now how to write a research proposal? So I'll show you mine, which is a multi-award winning proposal. Now, what should you have? Well, you should have a research context, which calls a research background. So that is number one. But you should check the University of Melbourne for their own guide. So you should have a research context which talks about, okay, basically, what is this work? And it should narrow down to the problem. The problem then becomes, okay, there are issues. And because of the issues, because of these gaps, being timely and impactful, I have research questions. The research questions basically means, what do I want to do? What research do I want to carry out? If you're struggling to know what to write in your research proposal, I'll give you a clue. Remember, for your bachelor's, you did research project, or for your master's, you did dissertation or thesis, regardless, depending on what your university calls it. You can write a research proposal out of that. So go to Google, type your research project, the title, read the top three articles that come out. Now, for every research article, especially if it's an empirical studies, empirical studies means some scientific act was done. So if it's an empirical study, there is a question, or usually towards the end, before the conclusion, you see limitations or I've forgotten what it's called, but basically telling you this work did not do this, and for future work you can actually do this. For some reason I can't even remember what it's called. Recommendations, yeah. Thank you. Recommendations. So for the recommendation, you would see the limitation of the work and then recommendation for future study. If you have that in those articles, you can write a research proposal based on that. So the limitations of these recent studies, say for example, there's a study in 2025, 2024 that has done this, but they all have this limitation, or you could even do a literature review study and then find out what is missing, then write a research proposal based on that. There are other ways to find a research topic and then write a research proposal. If you want to discuss that with me, you can book a one-to-one session and then let's see how we can do that. Okay. So research question becomes the next thing, and after that, implication or the significance of the research. So what you want to carry out, what is the significance? Then the methodology, how will you do this? How? And remember, in each of them, you can see me citing. So which means you have to include literature review studies and cite articles, okay? Then timeline. Timeline basically means, okay, so how long would you do this work starting from here to here? I like to include diagram here. So here is my timeline, okay? And this is just a screenshot. So I designed it and took a screenshot because of the word count. So design something like this. What would you do in your year one, year two, year three? It means you're focused. And then for your timeline, also include a milestone. How would you measure your growth or your progress? And then do this. And then eventually you have ethics, if ethics is one of the things to be considered, but why not? And then this is the crucial part, which is preparedness. Preparedness being what makes you ready, what makes you fit for this work, what makes you sure, what makes you suitable for this particular work. And then you can include your references and that. So if you need a detailed guide for your own field, for us to work together to write your research, I'm not going to write a research proposal, but if you want us to work together to explore topics that you could write your research proposal on, then you can book a one-to-one session with me and then we can discuss that. Okay, now let's go back to this. So, my friends, that is it. But one more thing, you might be wondering about the English language requirement. But before I talk about the English language requirement, I have this to ask you. If you've been watching the video to this point, it means you're interested in things like this. Please remember to like the video, subscribe. But I've also got a good tip for you. If you've been watching the video to this point, the first three persons, now this is good. The first three persons, make sure to comment. The first three persons who would type something like English speaking background or education, type this in the comment section and I'll give you a free one-to-one session. Okay? Just type English speaking background or education. The first three people, you get a free one-to-one session with me. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for your support. And so for English language requirements, you don't have to bother so much about it. If you're from select countries, if we look at the select countries on point four, where's four? If you're predominantly English language speaking countries are these ones. And here you find Nigeria, you find Liberia, you find Tanzania, you find Ghana, Hong Kong. Some countries are not included, like if you're from China, India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia. I think somebody asked me from Pakistan, so here you have it. Okay. So, but there are other ways to also meet your requirements. You can come to this page and read up. So, friends, that is how you can apply to the scholarship. And I want to end this session by saying all the best in your scholarship application.